All right, owner's review of the 2023 Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Pro. All right, so got it in the garage here next to the 22 KLR 650 and the John Deere because it might snow. But so I don't have that many miles on it. I bought it new yesterday and I rode it home about 55 miles. Then I went on another ride of about, I don't know, 40 miles. I'm not sure how far it was. But so far, so we're going to talk about my initial thoughts on the bike. That's really going to be compared to the KLR in a lot of ways. See how this goes. Okay, so first off, I just want to say the bike is smoking hot looking. I mean, it's a nice looking bike and it's very well put together. I mean, I got the garage door shut because it's kind of rainy and crappy, but the bike is just nice. Very nice. It sounds great. Excuse the mess in the garage, but it's just nice. Very high quality, compared to the KLR, which is in a different price group and all that kind of stuff. I love the KLR. I had a lot of fun on it so far. I bought it back in June of this year. It's December now, New Year's tonight. But the KLR is a blast. I took it on the dirt. I did over about 1,300 miles of dirt, doing BDRs and things like that. And it did great. For what it is, it does great. Not great on the highway, not great at high speed. And this one, the Tiger Rally Pro 1200, does a lot better. So mine did come with a few options. So headlight protector, upper crash bars, which are awesome. I'm glad they did that. Some other minor things, grab handle. It came with a top box. I have it off, sitting over there somewhere. But eventually I'll get the panniers put on, which is nice. But a couple of those things that you might see that you wouldn't see on just a bare bones brand new one. So, all right. And I know that if you're interested in this bike, you've probably watched a ton of videos on YouTube and telling you how it competes with the GS, the R1250 GSA or whatever. And I guess it does. I haven't ridden the GSA, so I can't help you out with that. But what I can tell you are things like compared to the KLR. So in the riding I've done so far, I can tell you there's a few things that I'm not as happy with as I thought I might be or should be. And let's see, what are a couple of those? So folks will talk about the engine, and the engine's got some great power. I'm still doing break-in stuff, so I'm not, and this is one of the things. So when you first get this bike, they want you to do this. First 100 miles, not, go over 3,500 RPM. For the, from 100 to 300, don't go over 5,000. You can see all that. So if you follow these rules, it's going to be a pretty boring initial ownership for you. But it does have pep. I mean, it's not pep, but power. It's a quick bike. It'll move. The quick shifter for me works really great. It makes riding just really nice. So a couple of things that I didn't really care for on my initial ride, or at least I thought would be better. The bike vibrates, right? So I'm coming from a thumper, right? The 650. And that bike vibrates. I mean, you can't put a GoPro on it somewhere and expect the footage to be worth a darn unless you have serious vibration isolation. It's nowhere near that bad on the Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Pro, the 2023 version. But it is there. I mean, you feel it in the handlebars, you feel it in the foot pegs. The bike vibrates. And The thing that makes it a little bit more noticeable for me anyways is the seating position isn't as great as I thought it might be also, because when I sit on this bike, when I set it on the showroom, everything seemed great. But as I'm riding it, I find myself leaning forward just a little bit. And that leaning, of course, you know, you feel it in the wrist, you know, and you try to, you know, because, you know, y'all will sit up and loosen up on the grips and all those things that you do when you're trying to keep your hands from going to sleep. But on my initial rides, I got the tingly fingers because you do feel the vibration here and because you're leaning forward a little bit. So to me, the handlebars aren't tall enough and they aren't back far enough. Even though, look at these things, right? When you look at these, it looks like they're leaning back pretty far. And maybe they are. But when I'm riding, my arms are pretty much locked forward. I'm 69 and a half, 70 inches, right about there, right? 5'9" and a half, 5'10". And I have a longer torso than legs, so a little bit of shorter legs, 30 inseam. So tall upper body for that size. And it's a reach. I mean, you feel like you're reaching as compared to the KLR. The seating position on the KLR is more comfortable, if it's okay to say that, from a, you know, $7,000 motorcycle to a $23,000 motorcycle. Okay, we can talk about the seat also. So on the KLR, came with a terrible seat, so I put that Corbin on there, and that Corbin is awesome. On the Tiger, this is the standard seat, non-heated, comes on the Rally Pro. It's cool. It's got a low and a high setting under there. It's currently in the low setting. You can tell because of this gap. When it's in the high setting, it matches up. But when configured like this, there's no chance for me to flat foot. So I'm a single foot stopper. You know, when you get to the stoplight, you just put 1 foot down. And that's what I do here. And it's really the balls of my feet on this bike. It's a tall bike. But it's not ridiculously taller than the KLR. It's about the same. If I've got the preload on the KLR set correctly, so it's not sagging, it's about the same as this. So it's no big deal. Could get tricky off-road, you know, uneven ground. But let's talk about the seat. So the seat, pretty comfortable. I spent a couple hours riding yesterday. Pretty comfortable overall. I'm not super stoked. You really feel this edge, right? So, and with the peg inserts in, which I guess lose about a half an inch or so, or 3/4 of an inch, you're pretty cramped. I mean, your leg is bent pretty well, but this edge here, to me, I feel this. You know, it's not like I'm sitting on a saddle. It's like I'm sitting on something and you feel these edges. Not terrible. I'm sure I'll get used to it. I'm just telling you what I feel. But on the couple hour ride, it's not like it was horrible. I didn't get, you know, dead butt, you know, or whatever. I think I'll be able to make long trips without any problem. All right. All right, so you can see my reflection in the TFT up there. But I just want to show you guys. So lots of videos show you the startup of the screen, which takes a few seconds. But that's not really what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is that screen, right? It's not, you get 2 color combinations that you can use. I think this is the cobalt or whatever, and the other one's like more red or something, but whatever. But as much touting as they do over this screen, I gotta tell you, I'm not super impressed. So it's easy to see all that information that's on there is fine, it's great, when you're riding, it's easy. But there's things that, that are just, why, you find yourself asking, why? Like, why can't you get the mileage on there? Your odometer or your trip meter? It should be selectable. Just make it an option where I can see it without having to go into the menus, and go over to trips and go in here and, oh, look, then I can actually see my trips and my odometer and stuff. It's like, what the heck? Come on. They're missing out by not making this more customizable for stuff that you would want on a long trip. Big props for backlit switches. This was awesome last evening when I was riding. Very nice. One of the other things that were just kind of weird is if you start the cruise control while you're riding, you can turn it off. You can pull the clutch, sustain the throttle, touch the brakes, and the cruise control will deactivate. But it'll always be on your screen until you turn off the bike and restart the bike. Just a little weird. I connected my phone to the dash and then downloaded the Triumph app and all that. It's garbage. There's no reason. What I can tell you is zero reason to connect your phone to the bike. It adds nothing to it. The little crappy navigation that you get through my Triumph app is horrible. It doesn't let you, use your Waze or Google Maps or anything like that. It's just its version, which is weak, not good. So I ended up deleting the app and disconnecting from the bike because I just don't need it. And I'll end up getting a quad lock for my phone so I can mount my phone and look at it and all that. My headset is, I wear the Shoei helmet Neotech 2 with the Sena SLR2 headset, which is old tech, but so I'll connect that to the phone, just like I do on the KLR. So now let's talk about another thing which I think is a miss. I'm going to turn this off. But one of the things I think is a miss is, this is an adventure bike. I'm going to take it on long trips. And why is there no factory place to put a GPS? I know, who is it? Evo Tech or whatever has this garbage up here where I can put my Zumo and watch it vibrate and all this. I run this thing, so after riding on the highway, I've found that I like it in the high position, right? I can see over it. It keeps the buffeting to the windscreen is great. No buffeting, it's great. But where do I put my Zumo GPS? Evotech has this thing that you put under here, and then, if I run it in the up position, the GPS is way up here and it's vibrating and all this kind of stuff based on the videos I've seen on YouTube. That's garbage. This is an expensive bike. It should have solved this problem. Triumph should have solved this problem for us. So the other option is put it on the handlebars. So the Zumo XT is down here, which again is not optimum, right? So, looking down that far. But that's what I'll end up doing, is maybe putting the GPS down here and maybe a place for my phone over here. I don't know. But that's a pain. And, okay, other whines and complaints. Love the no key gas cap. That's awesome. I'm trying to figure out, I know, people, but I live in the DC area and I get, I need an easy pass. So where do I put my Easy Pass? Where do I put my garage door opener? Since there's no option to have a built-in garage door opener in the bike itself. So that means tank bag, right? And I use the Tusk tank bag on the KLR, and it looks like total garbage on here. And just connecting it down there is going to be a hassle. So I got to figure that out. But it'd be nice if there was a solution for the Easy Pass and for the garage door opener. Small things, but I mean, real things, right? This is an owner review, not, I'm not a journalist or something. So suspension and riding, the bike does really great, man. I went through some of the suspension settings, and I ended up going back to road normal because it just feels right, which is awesome. I try to I'll make it really soft and then make it really hard and all that kind of stuff. But in just road mode normal, the bike feels great. All right. Things that aren't great. Continued, I guess, to turn it into a complaint whiny video, but these are things I noticed on the ride. So many folks may have heard about the issues with the throttle, like it's touchy or the bike will stall at low RPMs or any of that. So I did some slow putting around in the parking lot to see if I could recreate any of that. None of that happened for me. I didn't have any issue with stalling. Bike hasn't stalled once. First gear is tall, so it's not as low and easy to roll, but so I think the way that Triumph fixed the low RPM stall thing is they did some tricky stuff with the clutch and the idle speed. So when the bike's running and you have the clutch all the way in, it's a nice low idle. As you start to let the clutch out just a little bit, the bike will pick up in RPM without you doing anything, without you touching the throttle. It'll just bring the RPMs up. And so what you really notice is if you're a rider like me, maybe where you keep one or two fingers under, I got to make the adjustment and get that adjustment right. Because for me, when I'm trying to do this, I find with gloves on, I find that it wants to idle up like we're getting ready to take off. And then if I adjust the screw out, then I'm way out here, at the point of traction. So I'm still working on it. I think it's just a setting, but I just wanted to let you guys know that there is a thing where if you're holding the clutch in and then you let it out just a little bit, the bike RPM goes up. You're not doing anything with the throttle, it just goes up. And so if you're sitting at a light and holding here, you'll notice that, why is the bike idling so high? Oh yeah, let me pull the clutch all the way in. And talking about throttle, for me, the throttle is a little jerky, to be honest with you. Like on a lot of bikes, when you fully close the throttle, it's a little lurchy. And then when you get on from fully closed, it can be a little, but I thought the Triumph would be better. It isn't. It's, and some of it's just getting used to the new bike, how you get smooth with the new bike and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. My initial thoughts on the ride home and then my second ride after that was the same. Yeah, that thing's touchy. All right. So, like I said, feels loose, but I think it's supposed to be that way because when I got in here and started looking at stuff, these bolts, it looks like it's made to do some wiggle. So, I guess my Triumph does wiggle. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to talk about. So again, this is the Rally Pro, right? So not the Explorer, so not the huge tank. and not the other mirrors, right? The Explorer has the fancy mirrors with blind spot detection and stuff like that. These mirrors are pretty good. They vibrate. I mean, at highway speeds, when you're doing, I don't know, 70, 75, they vibrate some. Not terrible. Nothing like the KLR. The KLR, yeah, good luck seeing out of those mirrors at highway speeds. But so anywho, I just wanted to share some initial thoughts with you. If your thoughts are different, let me know in the comments. Thanks.